Hey YouTube, wanted to make a quick new video about a new watch I got. So um, recently I kind of went through a Casio Pro Trek buying spree. I got two different ones. I kind of wanted a kind of an outdoorsy, I always like to call them a apocalyptic watch, watch that you can kind of survive out in the wilderness per se. So solar powered was a must, and then having some of the ABC sensors to help you navigate. So if you haven't already, I did two previous kind of initial reviews, impressions of two new watches I got. I returned one of them because it was just too large. I got a new recent one, the 270, which like I said I was going to keep, but then I got this one and I think that's going to replace it. So I kind of think of this as kind of a Pro Trek on steroids because it does have a lot of the same functionality as the Pro Trek, but plus a whole lot more. But I'm also a big fan of Garmin fitness watches, so I've been wearing fitness watches for quite a long time. I've tried kind of, I don't know if people follow that, but I've tried ones like the Microsoft Band 2 was actually my favorite for a long time. I've tried a lot of the Samsung Atlas band, and then I got into Garmin with the Vivo Active. I think it was just Vivo Active, like the square one. Then I had the Vivo Active 3, 4 recently, and then most recently I had the Fenix 6 Solar, and I had the Fenix 6 Pro non-solar as well. So I've tried quite a few of them, and I really, at this point, the Garmin ones are my favorite. So I haven't tried the Apple Watch, so take that. I've never tried the Apple Watch. I hear good things about them, but I've never tried them. So Garmin watches are my favorite from a fitness standpoint, just because I want a fitness watch first, smartwatch second. And my experience with like Samsung and even the Motorola 360, like basically like the Google OS or the Samsung smartwatches, is that they are smart first and then fitness watch is second. I've also tried a whole bunch of the Fitbit line as well. The Charge 2, 3, Surge. I can't remember all their names, the square ones. Names are escaping me right now, but I've tried probably at least 8 or so different Fitbit watches as well. And in the end, the Garmin's are just hands down better from a perspective. Now, Fitbit does have a great app. I love their app. It's very clean, and their devices are pretty well made. But the biggest thing I hate about Fitbit is that you can't use a external heart rate sensor. And unfortunately, no matter how good they make the wrist ones, they're just never going to really be as good as the either a chest strap or even one that you kind of wear higher up on your forearm. I mean, I've tested it myself. I should preface, depends what you're doing. So for steady state cardio, like if you're jogging, elliptical, treadmill, etc., basically where your heart rate's kind of staying kind of at a constant rate, these wrist ones actually are found to be pretty darn accurate. So I've tested my elliptical where I wear like a wrist-based one. I put like an ECG type one on my chest, and the results are pretty darn close. So for steady state, I have no issue with the wrist base, but I predominantly lift weights. That's the bulk of my workouts. Is I lift weights, I ride bike, I do elliptical, and then I golf. But weights are kind of my main thing, and for that, these are horrible. Or not Garmin, but just wrist based are just really horrible for it for two reasons. One is that weightlifting, you gotta have the spike. You start doing whatever bench press or whatever. With each set, your heart rate raises, and then you finish, goes down. But the whole set can only take 20 seconds, and there's just too much lag with these wrist ones. Like they can't keep up with the spikes. By the time they get a reading, you're already kind of coming down. And then also, depending on what exercise you're doing, is the muscles and your kind of like curls are a good example. The muscle flexion interferes as well. So long story short, my experience, the only way I've been able to get an accurate reading for weightlifting is either with a chest strap or they sell different brands, sell ones you can kind of wear up on your forearm. That kind of helps as well. So that's the biggest thing about the Garmin's, is that they're very friendly to external heart rate monitors. And then their smartwatch capability, it's not bad. I mean, it's not going to be like a Samsung where you can, check your Gmail and YouTube and all the other things you can do with that watch. But it does. I mean, for me, first of all, even when I had my Samsung Galaxy Watch, it alerted me of an email, but I'd glance at a couple words in it, but I wouldn't go through the whole email and read it. I would just take my phone out. That's kind of how this one is too. You get the notification of an email, you can read the first couple lines and kind of get the idea of what the email's about. Now with this one specifically, due to its kind of different type of smaller face, it's not as friendly towards that. Like my Fenix was much easier to read on because it had a lot more screen real estate. But again, I don't really care about that as much. So overall, why did I change to this one? Well, two reasons. One, I wanted solar. Again, going back to kind of chasing that kind of survival watch, this has solar, and this actually, even though the Fenix 6 had solar, but that was more like a boost. It'll kind of help you, give you an extra couple of days, but ultimately you're gonna have to charge it. Where this one, you can actually go indefinitely. Now you got to put it into power saver mode, where you disable all the sensors, and it just becomes kind of like a digital watch, turns into like a G-Shock watch essentially. And at that point, it would then start taking a charge. So you can do that for a day or two, get it charged up, and then turn the sensors back on. But it could be done essentially. You could, never have to charge it essentially. So that's why I got it. I was a little apprehensive about getting it just because the display was a little smaller, and here's an example of an email. So you can see. I mean, it's not you're not gonna get the whole thing on it, but you can still do some smart functionality with it if you wanted to. So for me, it's fine. That's all I need. Now on the Fenix, you're able to actually scroll down and see more. So now the reason I was hesitant to get this was because the pixel density on this is actually less. I think it's like I believe it's a half of what the Fenix was. So the Fenix, just double check. Yeah, the Fenix is 260 by 260. This is 121 by 128. So it's about half the pixel density. So I was a little nervous about that it's so low. That initially I kind of gravitated towards the Fenix 6, but I don't know why I did, because I didn't like this Fenix 6 Pro initially, but I thought I'd give it another chance. My main complaint with the Fenix is it's not so much its size, because it is a little bit bigger than this one. The Fenix was a 47, this is a 45 millimeter, so a little bit smaller, and the thickness is about the same. Let me see if I can get that for you. So yeah, so they're the same. So the Fenix is rated at 15.1 millimeters. This is rated at 15.3 millimeters. So it's pretty much identical in thickness, but this is much lighter. I can't remember what the Fenix weighed. I believe the Fenix, so on their website it says 62 grams, and they say this is 53 grams. So let's see, because I almost feel like it. I almost feel like it feels a little bit lighter. All right, so we got 0. All right, so 55 grams. So pretty close. They say 53, so it's a little bit off, but it could just be the scale too. So 55 grams. So I guess that's spot on. And they said that the Fenix is 62 with a case only. So maybe if you add the rubber straps, might go a little bit higher, but it's a heavy watch. So I went from I think that was the Vivo Active 3, and then I tried a Fitbit, then I got the Fenix 6 Pro, and then I got the Vivo Active 4, and then I got the 6 Solar, and then I just got rid of the Solar and got the Instinct. So it is noticeably lighter and more comfortable. The other parts about it, so going back to the display, so it does have half the pixel density of the Fenix, but I must say, maybe because my expectations are so low, this thing is incredibly legible. Um, honestly, it's almost more legible than the Fenix. So I don't know why, but you know, it's if you're concerned about the poor pixel density, don't be, because this thing is very, very legible, very crisp. So that was like my most pleasant surprise is actually how good the clarity is on this. So the clarity on it is phenomenal, much better than I expected. It's just as good as the Fenix, if maybe not better. Maybe, I don't know, because this is a monochrome display. Maybe that's why it looks a little more like kind of sharper. But display is great on it. I'm not too. I know some people like this little like unique setup where it's got this carve out. I almost wish I just made it kind of a whole square, or whatever. But whatever. Small complaint. You don't get access to the IQ store, which is kind of a letdown, to be honest. I mean, so you can't get new faces, but that's okay. I wasn't a big user of that IQ store anyway. There wasn't a whole lot that I needed at the watch store I didn't have. What else? So the straps on this one are 22 millimeters, same size as the Vivo Active and the Fenix, and I actually have a couple straps that I acquired through my owning these watches for some time, and these actually will fit. So even though the Fenix has kind of a straight design and this one is a little bit curved, these actually will still fit, and I think it looks fine. I mean, it doesn't look like the original, obviously, but I think it's fine. I'll kind of actually show you. I'll do a quick strap change. So to change the strap, all you need is some kind of a watch changing tool, or even just something you can stick in there. A pen would work too, and it's just a push pin. You push both the pins in and it'll just pop right out. So let's do a quick change. Okay, we got one, and you gotta do both sides. Okay, so we got this one. Be careful when you're doing this, because if you kind of do them in the wrong angle, this thing can fling out on you, and these are a little bit unique. So I'm a watch guy, so I have a lot of spare watch parts, but these are a little bit almost like a Seiko style fat bar. So if you lose it, it might be a little difficult just to pull a random one in. But once you put it in, what you want to do is pop it back into place like that, and then take your quickfit, and voila. So there you go. Let's do the other one. Also, what's different about the solar version over the original Instinct? So cosmetically they look the same, but they did add some pretty nice upgrades internally. So you do get their newest heart rate sensor. I think they call it the Elevate. So it's got the same sensors like the Fenix and the Vivo Active 4, where the non-solar one has the old sensor. They also upgraded the GPS, so it uses a newer GPS chipset than the non-solar does, which gives you better battery life, and from what I've seen so far from other reviewers is better accuracy. So if you want to see a really good review of this, check out DC Rainmaker. He did a pretty extensive review on it, where he talks about some of the kind of more in depth about this watch. So we got the other side and snap it in, and as you can see, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, it obviously doesn't have that curve, so you don't get that kind of clean, true OEM, but this I think is still doable. I mean, it kind of looks more like looks fine. I mean, if I didn't know it came with this, I would believe this is an original one. So I'm probably gonna keep it that way. So yeah. So if you got any 22 millimeter straps, you could make it work. What else can I tell you here? I mean, keep in mind I haven't had this a whole long so far, but overall, I mean, I've tried both the Fenixes and this one and the Vivo Active 4. So from some of their newer watch line, I mean, obviously it's early and I'm kind of, but this is probably my favorite one. The Vivo, I actually like the Vivo Active 4 a lot, but to be honest, and this is kind of weird because I've always liked touchscreen. So when I first got the Fenix 6 Pro last year, I was a little nervous about losing touchscreen, going to the button layout, and I never thought I would, but I actually prefer the button layout. So after I kind of learned the Garmin button layout, and I got the Vivo Active 4, which if you use touchscreen, I was kind of disappointed. I actually didn't like the touchscreen. You notice how much quicker the button is over the laggy touchscreen, and then the other part is that you always get it smudged up when you get touchscreen. This way you can keep your screen nice and clean. So I actually prefer Garmin's button operation over their touchscreen. So that's probably why I actually like this one better than the Vivo Active 4, and of course some of the extra ABC features that the Vivo Active 4 lacked. So I would say this is my favorite Garmin watch so far. I mean, again, I haven't had it a long time. Time will tell, but I've spent some time with a lot of the Fenix watches, and as much as I like them, I just don't. They're just too heavy for me. I just don't like the weight being kind of swinging around on my wrist. So here's how it looks. So I've got about a 7-inch wrist, and kind of see the idea what it looks like. It's so light. I mean, that's what I like about this one. I mean, that's as soon as I put this on, man, it's like it just feels so light. The Garmin or the Fenix, when I put it on, I was like, oh my god, this thing is like a tank. But different. I mean, that's why there are different options, different people, different personal tastes. So, but this guy is on sale at Kohl's for $300, and then you get like $75 back in like Kohl's cash. So really $225. I mean, that's a heck of a deal. So I'm probably going to be returning my Pro Trek that I just did a review on it a few days ago, because I just don't see when I'd wear it, because this is going to be my, for the most part, everyday watch. And then just for fun, I'll throw on something different from going out or something. But kind of day to day, this is going to be my watch, especially for working out and outdoors. So don't see a real need to keep the Pro Trek if this does everything plus more. So yeah, that is all I have, I think, to cover on this one. As usual, what I'll do is maybe in a few weeks, once I've done a few workouts with the watch, I'll post a review on it. Oh, the other thing I should mention too is that this, I believe, is their only military, and don't quote me on it, but I believe this is their only military grade watch, so it's pretty darn rugged. The other thing I don't believe this had is a gyroscope. I think that's the one sensor it's lacking compared to like the Fenix, and even the Vivo Active had it. But from a feature set, this covers all the basics, at least for me. It just doesn't go into that level of depth like on the running or swimming. It actually has no golf features, which is kind of a bummer because I do golf. I would kind of wish it had some golf features, but yeah, it's got nothing for golf. But it's got all the weightlifting stuff. It's got all the GPS stuff. It's got body battery, which is actually one of my favorite things about Garmin. If you're not familiar with body battery, it actually calculates your rest and your activity and determines kind of basically how much fuel in the tank you have, and it is actually pretty darn accurate. So as you work out, as you throughout the day, it measures your heart rate, your the calories burned, and then how much sleep you got, and it kind of determines what your energy level is. So it's actually pretty accurate. Now, those days I woke up and I checked the level and it shows I'm low, and actually I kind of feel like I feel it. So I don't know if it's psychological, but I think it's a cool feature. The one thing that the Fenix watch has, and I think some of their other like high-end running watches have, is the recovery status. I actually like that. When I had the Fenix 6 and I switched to the Vivo Active 4, I didn't have it, and I kind of missed it. Basically what that is, it'll kind of tell you how long you should rest or recovery before you it kind of gives you an idea how long you should rest for before your next workout. So it's kind of cool. You could go into, and I would say 22 hours or 18 hours or 8 hours. So it kind of gives you an idea. of maybe when it's time to take a break. I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'll come back to this guy maybe in a few weeks, a month, and give some impressions of how it's worked out. Unfortunately, it's kind of getting cold out here, so I'm not going to be able to do any biking or a whole lot of outdoor stuff, but I'll put it through some weightlifting and see how it does. All right, this one went on way too long, so thanks for watching and have a good one.